Perennial flooding are a major concern to many in states across the country as residents continue building on waterways. National Agency for Control of AIDS partners National Assembly on sustainability of HIV response, tuberculosis and malaria. Samoa Agreement, strictly for economic development, federal government refutes reports of signing LGBTQ provision in agreement. Hello and welcome to the late evening news at 11 on NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu. Federal government has denied signing a $150 billion Samoa agreement. At a press briefing in Abuja, Ministers of Information and National Orientation and that of Budget and Economic Planning described the trending reports on Samoa agreement as baseless and reckless, and restated government's commitment towards friendly policies to promote peace in the country. Salihu Wanara reports.
Reports on the Samoa agreement by a section of the media have generated debates and different interpretations across ethnic, political and religious divide. Here, the government spokesperson, Mohammed Idris, and the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, give clarity to the misinterpretation of the Samoa agreement they described as a vital legal document only to promote investment opportunities and bilateral relationship.
President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is unapologetic in his respect for Nigeria's constitution and sovereignty. He respects Nigeria's diversity with Muslims and Christians. He appreciates Nigerian sensitivities. He will never approve or support or engage in anything that can be damaging or that can be seen to be insensitive to our religious or other sensitivities. And the people behind it could descend to the reckless level of attempting to set the country on fire by falsely accusing the government of signing a deal to promote LGBTQ. We found that despicable and wicked because the allegation is nowhere in the document signed on behalf of the federal government.
They said the Samoa agreement, with 103 foundational articles and 79 articles in African regional protocols, lacks the capacity to temper with the cultural and religious norms of the country.
We call on our ulamas, and we are already engaging them, and all religious leaders from both the Muslims and the Christian faith to show understanding at this very difficult time. We will continue to engage them. We'll continue to put out the truth there. We'll continue to give them. That is why we came, not just with the document that Nigeria signed, but the entire document relating to the whole issue of the Samoa, the so-called Samoa agreement, the post-Cotonou agreement. There is nothing, we have examined it. The Attorney General of the Federation has examined it, like the Honorable Minister of Budget has said, and there is nothing that is seen there that is of concern.
The document was presented to the media for public scrutiny. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Stakeholders in the solid minerals sector have underscored the importance of bitumen to the improvement of Nigerian economy when properly harnessed. National Assembly correspondent Issa Mohammed reports that this came to the fore at a public hearing by Senate Committee on Solid Minerals as it seeks inputs on Bitumen Development Commission of Nigeria Establishment Bill.
Available statistics, Nigeria is second among countries with large deposits of bitumen. put at an estimate of 42 billion tons, but remains untapped, despite being an alternative to crude oil and agriculture in revenue generation. The sponsor of the bill, Senator Jimo Ibrahim, says with vast deposits of bitumen in Nigeria could be utilized to diversify the economy, hence the need to provide a legal framework on processing and utilization.
It's a financial resource-based bill that is very important to create employment, to address finance.
He says this will end importation of the product, promote local content, drive economic growth, create jobs, and increase Nigeria's GDP, among other benefits. Stakeholders in the mining sector were in agreement that the initiative will further direct policy attention to fast-track exploration, just as they pointed to some areas of concern in proposed legislation.
The view of this Ondo State government hereby presents and support the establishment of the Bitumen Development Commission. This, we hope, is going to address the issues stemming the strategic development, management, and regulation of this resource in Nigeria.
Apart from providing jobs, it's going to work in favor of security enhancement in Nigeria. Because when people are working, they will not have time to commit any evil.
I'm very happy about this bill, that this bill is coming up this time.
I want to assure you that your contributions, whether for or against, will be taken into consideration as our committee sets to work.
Meanwhile, the Joint Committee on Niger Delta Affairs engaged the minister to assess the level of budget implementation and challenges. However, due to lack of necessary documents, the committee adjourned the meeting. From the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
Now concerned about the dangers associated with illegal migration, especially among the youth, ECOWAS Parliament is taking pragmatic steps to address the ugly trend. At this Saturday's plenary, representative of International Organization for Migration presented a current state of youth migration across the seas in West Africa. ECOWAS Parliament correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
85% of migration is within the West African region. If we look at emigration, here you have the figures. There are over 12.5 million emigrants.
Deliberations on the floor of the House of ECOWAS Parliament centered on how to deal with illegal migration. Members said that the phenomenon is characterized by economic opportunities and social networks which need urgent redress.
We have to ensure that we make our countries attractive for young people. Those of us in governance have failed the young people.
From your position to improve the welfare of the citizenry as a whole.
From the statistics we got, the level of migration was higher last year and this year. Why? Because of the conflict, because of the distortion in world economy.
Others called for the review of policies, good governance, and strengthening border control to curb the migration process.
Before the fall of Gaddafi in Libya, how many Libyans were migrants outside of Libya? How many of them? Because that country provided leadership. Gaddafi provided for her people. They were there. They didn't go out.
A lot of our young girls, young ladies, have migrated to Qatar, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and so on and so forth, under the auspices to go and engage in domestic servant. What they go through is even worse than what we have identified in the European countries.
The session marks a significant step towards strengthening regional cooperation on migration management to a positive force for development in West Africa. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Sustaining the fight against HIV in Nigeria for the country to meet up with the universal target of ending the disease by 2030 requires both political and financial courage. This is the position of the Director General of the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, Dr. Temitope Ilori, as the agency organized a retreat for members of the House Committee on AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria, ATM. Hingino John Adams reports that the theme of the workshop is Leadership for the Sustainability of HIV Response, the role of the legislature.
They come from various organizations and destinations with a common goal, which is ending HIV/AIDS in Nigeria by 2030. With the nation's HIV response in the last 20 years, ensuring that about 1.7 million people are on treatment and about 98% remain HIV negative, Director General of the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, believes this interface with lawmakers will make more impact in the fight against HIV/AIDS in the country.
We believe the legislators are major stakeholders in this national response. This retreat is to sensitize them and to also have their buy-in in terms of resource mobilization, in terms of oversight functions, in terms of accountability, and also for them to assist us in also getting the message to the grassroots in their various constituencies.
The lawmakers and other key players are concerned about funding, which they say majorly come from donors. Looking inward for funds is what they suggested.
The legislature, as a representatives of our communities, will continue to provide a strong leadership that will engender robust and sustained HIV response in Nigeria through collaboration and partnership.
Currently, with our partner, we're also rolling out what we call Element 2.0, which shows how states should be supported by different donors, with government as the oversight and leadership role.
Participants here believe the retreat will present new frontiers and robust ideas that will make Nigeria stand out in achieving a nation free from HIV. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
We take a break now. Reports continue in a moment. Thanks for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu is tasking the Nigerian army to change the security architecture to meet up with the new challenges and threats in the country. He said this in a message to the grand finale of the Nigerian Army Day celebration 2024 in Jos. Bilkisu Nuhu reports.
Represented by the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, President Tinubu notes with gratitude the huge and critical role the Nigerian army is playing for the continued existence of Nigeria over the years. He says his administration is committed to supporting the army in the discharge of its primary role of defending the territorial integrity by building a well-equipped and professional army that remains the pride of the nation. On its part, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, says in its over 161 years of existence, the Army has matured into a highly professional and potent force in spite of the growing complex security challenges.
The Nigerian Army, under my watch, is committed to putting our
to meet ever-changing violent and unwanted threats to the nation.
Officers and men who distinguished themselves in line of duty received various awards as guest watch, file pass, and demonstration. Representative of President Tinubu then inaugurated the new aviation platform to bring the week-long celebration to an end. In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Benue State Command, has arrested a 25-year-old man with 350 grams of substance suspected to be cocaine. State Commander NDLEA, Mrs. Esther Lami Musa, said the seizure is the highest single seizure of cocaine made by the command since 1996. Blessing Omeche Ebute has more.
On Thursday, 4th July 2024, working on credible intelligence reports, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Otukpo Area Command, intercepted a waybill item. During the search, it was discovered that substance suspected to be cocaine were neatly concealed in an MP3 speaker. This development led to the arrest of a 25-year-old man who came to claim the item. Benue State Commander NDLEA, Esther Lami Musa, addressing newsmen, said 47 wraps of the substance were discovered amounting to 350 grams.
Upon discovery of that suspected consignment, a follow-up operation was carried out. He was not arrested in the vehicle. He was arrested while coming to receive the consignment because the consignment was bearing his name and his phone number. So even during the arrest, because he knew what he was up to, he took my officers tug of war with the support of other security operatives.
She stressed on the need for collaboration with government and relevant organizations in the fight against drug and substance abuse, as it has a ripple effect on the rate of crime in the country.
In the interiors, they are farming cannabis. We don't have the logistics to even get to these places to do our job. That is why we are calling on collaborative efforts of stakeholders to support, because it's not the problem of NDLEA alone. It's our country. We have to join forces, join hands to fight this scourge.
Investigation is still ongoing to reveal other members of the syndicate. In Makudi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
Civil society organizations, CSOs in Nigeria, and anti-graft initiative groups have expressed concern over increasing cases of corruption, especially through the public procurement process. The CSOs and partners, as advocates for change, have identified ways of ending corrupt practices perpetrated through the procurement process. Ayodeji Makinde reports.
Loss of Nigeria's commonwealth to corruption and financial crimes is a trend that has continued to dominate intellectual discourse. The ongoing fight against these sharp practices by different agencies of government over the years has led to major arrests, conviction, seizures and forfeitures. But like a cankerworm, it continues to eat deep into the fabric of the society. In the midst of this fight, civil society observers identify corruption in procurement process as pathway costing Nigeria a fortune that could have been channeled to improving socio-economic well-being of citizens. In a deliberate attempt to halt this, Procurement Observation and Advocacy Initiative and civil society organizations are calling for strengthening of laws, backing the Bureau of Public Procurement and the establishment of a National Council for Public Procurement. This, they believe, will advance the capacity of the agency to effectively fulfill its mandate as contained in the Public Procurement Act of 2007.
When a contract is issued, the final point is that a certificate is issued to the contractor and payment is made. So there are a lot of processes. Once a certificate of no objection is issued, it simply means all the letters of the contract have been followed. It's not meant to undermine any person or
professional bodies in Nigeria. The effort is rather to support them and the federal government in this trying period of uncontrolled procurement, corruption cases in the public sector.
This select group of non-state actors under the World Bank Federal Republic of Nigeria Economic Reforms and Governance Project 2010 also called on the President Tinubu administration to enforce full compliance with principles guiding conduct of procurement proceedings in public sector. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
In recent years, experiences of flooding across states of the Federation and the FCT left many with bitter lessons, with relics still glaring. But have the people learnt their lessons, especially with the experts' mitigation and safety advice? Abdullahi Ajiya's report takes us through the FCT experience of the Trademore Estate and other areas with perennial flooding.
It is the rainy season and the rains are getting more frequent and intense. Experts' predictions and precautionary measures are handy for the safety of lives and property at this time.
Once there is a heavy downpour, there will be flooding, especially in areas where we have human activities that are obstructing the free flow of water. People build on waterways. People dump refuse indiscriminately. People build without making adequate provision for the free flow of water. And when we advise them, we go out on sensitization. We tell them not to build on waterways. We tell them the repercussions.
The Federal Capital Territory, like some other parts of the country, is of course having its own share of flash floods. This development has come with its attendant challenges of damage to lives and property.
In view of the recalcitrant nature of the citizenry and the attitude of just not wanting to do the right thing, we get repeated occurrence of this development and again. So it's just a circle in itself, but the authority is not deterred to continue to ensure that it implements the Abuja Master Plan and maintain the sanctity of the plan to ensure that the plan and its vision for an aesthetically pleasing city for people to live, work and recreate is restored.
In this case, the Trademore Estate and other communities like Galadimawa and other adjoining areas recently experienced surge. Town planning professionals and emergency responders say such experience is not unconnected with lack of adherence to environmental and building regulations. With authorities still emphasizing prevention and proactive mitigation, the latest safety warnings are coming from the federal government, where it alerts 18 states and the FCT for probable flooding. In Abuja, Abdullahi Ajiya, NTA News.
The Kogi State government, in collaboration with the Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape EcoSol project, has commenced compensating individuals impacted by the gully erosion site project in Omigbo, Kababunu local government area. Jonathan Omajali reports that this initiative is part of the state government's effort to combat the challenges affecting the state.
For over 15 years, the Omigbo community in Kababunu local government area has suffered significant devastation from gully erosion. The rainy season is particularly dreaded by the people.
Once it's raining like this, that's how we peeping through the fence to see what will happen. We lost so many of our properties.
Efforts to commence civil works at the erosion site and provide relief to the affected residents have been ongoing, with the Kogi State government partnering with the World Bank's Acresa project. The dream is now a reality, with the check presentation ceremony to compensate project-affected persons in the Omigbo Gully erosion project.
It's more than 15 years now, and it has led to so many accidents, deaths, and has caused so much hardship to the people of Omigbo. However, today marks the beginning of an end to that problem by God's grace.
The historic event held in Kaba marked a significant milestone, with the government of Kogi State demonstrating its commitment to alleviating the plight of the people while addressing ecological challenges in the state.
His Excellency has again put a construction
to address economical issues in the 21 local government of Kogi State to provide lasting solutions to the menace of erosion and flooding.
There are so many places that things like this are being done, and the project affected persons are not even being compensated. But the governor of the state have graciously directed that before you leave your property, you will be adequately compensated.
But the most astonishing thing was the prompt payment of 600 million naira by the state government as counterpart money.
Attention now shifts to the Tahigoli site in Okene and the Olubo Ojogoli site in Nangpa local government area. Jonathan Omajali, NTA News.
The People's Democratic Party says that its candidate in the September 21, 2024 Edo State governorship election, Asue Igodalo, remains validly in the race as the party resolved to appeal the ruling of the Federal High Court nullifying the primary election. Chairman of the party's National Campaign Council for the election and Governor of Adamawa State, Ahmadu Fintiri, stated this at the opening of the council's meeting in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The governor of Adamawa State, Ahmadu Fintiri, is leading the National Campaign Council for the September 21 governorship election in Edo State. Asue Igodalo, the party's governorship candidate, remains authentic and sellable, Fintiri emphasized.
Yes, there's a little setback temporarily. God will see us through it. 3 days ago's court judgment. Anybody who peruse and look through the entire process, this is what will not stand in the court of law, particularly that will be approaching the court of appeal. And that shouldn't deter us. We will put more commitment.
And we know very much that the Apex Court has pronounced the issue of delegates is purely an internal affairs of the political party.
Former governor of Edo State, Lucky Benedion, and the governorship candidate Asue Igodalo are optimistic that PDP will emerge victorious in the forthcoming election.
PDP is in my DNA, and I will assure and ensure and do all that is necessary that victory is ours come September.
We've already seen the signs that this is going to be a difficult election, not on the issues, but on distractions.
The National Campaign Council, which later dissolved into various sub-committees, has PDP Deputy National Organizing Secretary Pascal Adigwe as Council Secretary. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
That concludes the late evening news at 11 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy Godiangone. Bye.